Welcome to Created Healthy. I'm Dawn Combs. It's a common idea that God gave us everything we need in nature, but do we believe it enough to walk that out in truth? Often the very same people who say this go looking for answers on how to use food and medicine from man-made sources. Everything man creates comes with a user's manual. Why would God be any different? I challenge you to join me in seeking revelation about our body, mind, soul, and spirit health by digging into His written word and in practicing pure science in the visible world of His creation.
Does God ask us to sacrifice everything and impoverish ourselves and have nothing in service to Him? I think that's a good question. I think many people believe that to be truly, sometimes those that try to be pious and follow God's direction believe somehow that the more you are poor and the more that you give up, the more important you are and the more ordained your work is. And I think that looking at Leviticus 5-8 here, it's important to understand that God has made provision for those that devote their entire being to serving Him. And this is something that I've leaned on a lot as I have given more and more over to God in service to Him, is that God doesn't lead us down a path that He is asking us to do work for Him only to be left in total desolation. Now, we can define that a lot of different ways, but we are always provided for when we are in service with God. And I think all of these offerings that we're going through, there is a piece that I never heard growing up. I had heard about the sacrifices in the temple, but I didn't hear about Leviticus 5-8. So it starts out with the last offering, the guilt offering. And this is the how-to here was that the person who needed to seek for forgiveness from God first had to go to the human that they had wronged, and if there was to be reparation, that it needed to be not only what needed to be replaced, but there was interest. You gave back more than you took before you came before God. Otherwise, again, you were in trouble. You had to do it right. So first you had to give back more than you took, and then you came and you sought, you did the offering and you sought for forgiveness in front of God. But here's the piece that I never heard until I began studying the Bible on my own. The priests are the descendant, Aaron is descended from Levi. And we know the Levites because Levi was one of the sons of Israel, one of the founders of the 12 tribes of Israel. And when Israel prophesied over his sons, he spoke about Levi's descendants being scattered amongst the other tribes. And here we have Aaron, who is stepping up as the chief priest, and his sons and their descendants are being consecrated or set apart from their brothers, from their relatives, as this caste of priests that will not be going out into the fields and gathering grain. They won't be tending flocks. They aren't just doing that on the side and then also having a special good word to share with their fellow man. They are devoting everything that they have to worshiping God, for standing in that space to try to bridge the gap between divinity and humanity. And so they're playing a role that's taking all the time they have. And all of these offerings are coming to be able to cover that, so that the people that are coming before God are not destroyed and their imbalances are covered, their lack of wholeness is covered. But also, God is sharing the sacrifices that are being made to Him directly with His servants. What a cool thing. So we have things that are being brought by the community specifically to be given over to the Almighty God so that they can have relationship with him. It is going to him. It is a gift that is being given to God. And instead of taking all of it, God is diverting some of those resources and giving it to his priests. So actually, the grain offerings, there was a portion that the priests could eat. And some of the sin offerings, the guilt offerings, they were part of the peace offerings. They were eating, gathering grain, and they were gathering incense, and they were gathering the incense to work in the temple, or to put in front of God. They were gathering the meat from those around them, and it was God sharing with them. So you have the people that are atoning for what they are and how different and separated from God they are. And you have God sharing with the people that are standing in the gap and giving over their lives entirely to his service. And nobody ever told me about that. I never knew that the priests were eating some of the barbecue and some of the bread that had been put onto the altars. And this is how they were feeding their families. And it was a direct giving from God. And so as we go out and we begin to give over portions of our lives, it is a trust. It is a trust in this promise. Matthew 10, we saw in the past several days where Jesus was telling the disciples, you're going to go out, you're going to serve me and my Father, and you're going to go town to town, and you're not going to carry clothes with you. You're not going to carry a bundle with food. You're not going to get paid town to town. You are going to God is going to share with you, just as God shared with the Levites in Leviticus 5-8 here. He is going to share with you of his resources, which he owns and created here on the planet. And it will come about through relationship with those other humans that seek to have relationship with their creator God. And in that recycling there, that God will take what is being given to him that is rightfully his and only his, and will share it with those who are serving. So as we are faithful in giving more of our lives over to be used by God, we can depend on the fact that we will always be provided for. And I can tell you that in my experience, the more I have given over of my life and the more I have devoted myself to this work that I am given from God, I'm always covered. No matter how thin the checkbook looks, when I most need bills to be covered, something always happens to take care of it. My family has always had food. We have always had a roof over our head, and not just enough, but we have felt blessed even in feeling like we don't have the worldly goods that everybody would put such value on around us. When God shares with you what is rightfully his, it is somehow even more amazing and even more precious. And I think that, wow, I feel like I was so robbed growing up, not hearing, only hearing Leviticus 1-4, and not really discussing what those sacrifices, those animal sacrifices and grain sacrifices really meant and what they were for. But man, not hearing Leviticus 5-8, it is such a treasure here to understand that God provides, and he provides out of what is rightfully his to those who are serving him, that are walking out his purpose. I talked a little bit about talents the other day. When you're given something to do, when you're given a talent, when you're given an ability, you're supposed to use that. And when you faithfully do, when you go out and you offer your life up as a sacrifice, God provides from his stores to take care of your bodily needs. Very, very cool. I hope that God is blessing you. The more you give Him control over where you are walking and what your purpose is. And I hope that He encourages you to come back and dig into the Word and look for these things, these nuggets, these precious gems that you may have not heard before, and come back and spend some more time with me on another day. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share with a friend. And I'm always interested in hearing what God is laying on your heart. So drop me a rating or review, or join the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Dawn Combs Really.